The hardest part about quitting my $100,000 a year job to start my own business was self-management. Now, I'm going to break that down for you and explain to you what the most challenging part of starting my own business over the last 20 months was in this video. So if you're starting a new business, you've already done it, you're thinking about it, you might want to quit your job, this one's for you because I'm going to tell you what kept me up at night. What was I crying about? Because there was nights where I was, because it was hard. But this was the hardest part. So I'll give you some background first. My name is Nick. My company here is Calgary Custom Concepts. We do trim carpentry. I started the business in July of 2023. When I got married, I moved across the country with my wife for her job. And back home in Ontario, I was a full-time firefighter. I was at $90,000 a year. I was about to be a class 1 firefighter, first class firefighter, would be making $110,000 a year actually. And I quit that to start this business in Calgary. So I've never been to the city. I don't really know anyone here. My wife has a couple of relatives, but I didn't know anyone. And I said, I've always wanted to run my own business. I've been running a business on the side, along with the firefighting role. And I said, now's the opportunity. That's great. I was so excited. I got this. This is my office space. I bought the office space, didn't buy it. I rented it, sight unseen, organized everything, put all my tools in the moving truck and moved here. But I didn't have any customers. I didn't have any resources. Didn't bring any employees with me. Just me and some machines and my work van. So that's how I got started. And now it's April. It's just the end of April 2025. So it's been a little more than a year and a half, or it's going to be 2 years in July. So that's where I'm at. And has it been challenging? Yes, it's been challenging. More than I expected? Yes, much more than I expected. Since I came here, I've hired, I think, 8 people, and I've got 3 now, so 5 of them. So I went through 5 employees, some turnover. That had a lot of learning lessons. I've had the experience that many entrepreneurs have had when it's the night before payroll and you don't have enough money in your account. And okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to pay these people? They have mortgages, they have lives and families, and that sort of becomes one of your primary responsibilities when you're a business owner is making payroll. I'm happy to say I've never missed payroll. And prior to moving here in my side business, I only had 1 employee part-time. That's all I've ever had. So it was quite new for me. Okay, now let me tell you what was most difficult. I did a post about this, but I came to realize that the cause of all my problems, it was me. So when you're running your own business, your own operation, you're the boss, you're the CEO, there's nobody else telling you what to do, where to be, what to focus on. It's just you. And that slowly dawned on me as I went through the challenges, the up and down in income. You have wins and you have losses, and some weeks, your bank account is like this. This is $0 and your bank account's going like this. It's going negative. That's how it goes. But I started to realize, why am I struggling so much? Like, why isn't this getting done? Or this isn't moving forward? Or I don't have clarity on our product market fit. And I was looking at my security cameras and I caught the person who was causing all these struggles. And I was in here on a Saturday. I said, I got to work weekends, Saturdays, Sundays. A lot of the time I'd be in here like, I'm grinding. I'm getting after it. I'm getting it done. And I looked on the camera and it was me sitting in this chair scrolling on my phone. I was scrolling on Instagram. Completely useless. Complete waste of time. And I said, aha, there's the culprit. It's me avoiding what I ought to be doing. And what I found is that when you have your own business, your actions get magnified. So if I had a job and I spent an hour a day at that job scrolling on my phone, whatever, I'm not going to be as productive on the fire department. I skipped, I could have been training, or I could have been cleaning something or exercising. I scroll on Instagram for an hour, whatever. The company, if you consider it a company, the service, the organization, it's still gonna perform, everything still gets done. Here, however, when you are the driving force behind your business and you start to allow yourself to get distracted or unfocused, or I did this as well. Okay, let's try a different business entirely. I think we should also be selling stuff on Etsy. Let's make an Etsy store and put a bunch of time and resources into that. Or, yeah, you know what? What if we start importing stuff from Alibaba? You know, it's the same sort of idea, these distractions, but they get magnified because you take that hour, okay, 7 hours a week, 28 hours a month, that's almost a full work week. And that's lost productivity because you're on your phone wasting time. And that's multiplied. And then at the end of the month, you say, oh, I don't have any money to pay myself with. And then, you do that for a few months, then that really starts to hurt. Then you feel it. And then you're forced to reflect. And some people say owning a business is the best form of personal development because the feedback is right there. It's immediate. I used to do biathlon, right? Skiing and shooting. And the feedback when you're in a shooting sport, the feedback is instant. It's that bullet's going faster than the speed of sound. So as soon as you pull the trigger, if you weren't totally focused, if you weren't 100% single-minded on the target, you miss, guaranteed. And the feedback is instant because either the target goes up or it doesn't because you miss. It's not, you don't even get scored on, oh, you were close. No, it's a 1 or a 0. You either hit or you miss. So these misses in your business, they start to add up and you feel the financial pain. For me, that was the feedback mechanism. It's financial pain. You live in a free market and relatively free market in a democratic country. I'm in Canada, and the market is going to tell you if you're not providing value and service and something that people want in the market very quickly. You're going to find out. No amount of optimism, there's my book, no amount of optimism, wishful thinking, prayers, none of that changes the fact that your bank account's at $0 and you got to pay your mortgage or you got to pay rent. So there's this very strong feedback mechanism and it tells you about yourself. So when you look at your bank account and it's like, okay, it's not where I want it to be, the only person you have to blame for that is yourself. So I found this is different when you're in a company. Yeah, that paycheck is coming every week. Even if you had a crappy week, you didn't feel so hot, so you didn't get as much done. Maybe you were 50% as effective. You're still getting 100% of your paycheck. You don't get docked pay for slacking off or for, whatever, not knowing what to do. You still get paid. So that's the difference. If you slack off, immediate effect comes back to you. But like I said, that's personal development. That's the most challenging thing. And it's also the best thing because it shows you exactly where you're not free and where you need to work and do better. So if you're considering starting your own business, even if you're if you have a part-time gig on the side and you want to take it full-time, that was a big transition for me because I wasn't running a real business. When I was making $100,000 a year on the fire department, it didn't matter if my business, if we had a good week or a bad week, that's fine. I got a big paycheck coming every 2 weeks. And yeah, I would move money into the business and cover a week that was slow. So I wasn't actually running a business because a business is, the true definition of a business is an entity that makes money without your involvement. That's a real business. That's not what I had when it was part-time. I'm working towards that right now. Some days I have a business, some days I just have a job. And the hats that I wear vary. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you're wanting to go full-time is that you're going to get that feedback from the market. And if you've been lying to yourself saying, oh yeah, I'm a business person. Yeah, I got a website and a logo and I send lots of emails and I go to networking meetings and I shake people's hands. Yeah, I have a business. No, you're going to get caught with your pants down if it's not profitable very quickly. And you cannot run on, promises and hopes for very long when your bank account's at $0. So I think it focuses you on reality. It brings you down from wherever you are, in your mind, and says, look, here's reality. And I think that the most successful people have the most clear vision of reality, because the only way to get to make what you want happen in the market is, the market is reality, and you need to interact with it and that feedback is very real. Okay, so the other, I just want to make sure that this point is very clear, that the most difficult part for me was the self-control. Okay, if I want to be successful and continue to have a business and I don't have to go back to a job, then I'm going to have to learn how to be disciplined and not scroll on my phone. Even if, and I did the work. Okay, what's really going on here? I know I shouldn't be doing this. Okay, let's talk to, a therapist or professional or whoever it takes, your pastor, about why are you engaging in this behavior that you know that you shouldn't be doing because it's not productive, it's counter to the goals that you've stated. Okay, is this some avoidant behavior? It's sort of some underlying feelings of that you don't have the capacity, or some imposter syndrome, or inability to deal with conflict, and so you're avoiding making the phone call by scrolling on your phone. So it forces you to do that work, because if you don't do it, the business is going to go under. And so there was a lot of things where I had to build that self-discipline. And then another part that goes right along with that is doing what you say that you're going to do. So if you tell a customer, yeah, we're going to be there on Tuesday, or the product is going to be ready on Friday, and it's not, and you do that, you do that once, that's the first impression. Okay, this person's not reliable. They don't do what they say they're going to do. That's the perfect recipe to not get callbacks, to not get referrals, to not grow your business. If you say, we're going to have it ready for you on Wednesday, and on Tuesday you call them and say, yeah, we finished it early, even though you knew it was going to be done on Tuesday. We finished early for you. We got it done. Now the customer, you set the expectation, oh, this person does what they say they're going to do. That's called integrity. And you have to have integrity towards yourself. So if you say, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. and go for a run, and you hit the snooze button, it's the same thing. You don't have integrity to yourself, then you know that yourself is not going to follow up on what you told yourself you're going to do. So what you start to speak as your goals and your stated intentions is no longer true, and you know that you're not going to hold yourself to it. That's the downward spiral that's going to end up in failure. So some tools to counteract that, I would hold myself accountable using social media. So I'd go on Instagram and I say, go on a live story, and I say, tomorrow I'm going to run 15 kilometers. And it's called social pressure. You want to maintain the image that you project out into society, into your circle of friends. So I got up and I did the run because I didn't want everyone to know that I didn't do it. I made that commitment to myself that I was going to tell them about it. Then those are my friends on there, so I know that they're watching. So that's one thing you can do, and that builds your confidence. So doing the things that you said you're going to do, that's how you build confidence. And that's also how you can address these negative habits that are going to hold you back, because you won't survive if you have, I really like to have a nap for 2 hours every day, whatever it is, or I'll have a beer at 4 o'clock. And the other thing is, when you're at your job, you have someone to report to, somebody supervising you, holding you to a standard. So that's the real difference, is someone else holds you to the standard, and now you have to hold yourself to a standard. And if you're not mature enough to hold yourself to a high enough standard, it's not going to work. You're going to say, yeah, I'm the boss now. I'm going to sleep in, and then I'm going to eat some ice cream for breakfast. That's a recipe for failure as well. Or, yeah, I deserve to go home at 3 p.m. and do what I want. I'm going to work on my hobbies because I'm a business owner now and I deserve it. Like, no, you don't deserve anything. You haven't earned it. You have to put in the work, and you have to take responsibility. You have to be responsible for yourself and for your own actions and for how you're showing up and for doing the things that you know you have to be doing. So those are some lessons that I learned over the past 20 months. I'm going to add more lessons. If you like this, like, comment or leave a like or say more of this or less videos like this, because I want to share more of this entrepreneurial journey of mine, so that other people don't have to have those same challenges. And I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.